Hello everyone, I am Sightlesskombat, accessibility consultant and gamer without sight. Welcome to this video on The Last of Us Part 2, where I'll be demonstrating how the accessibility features in this phenomenal title actually allow me to achieve things that I would have never thought possible until this happened. Namely things like stealth kills and, ranged gunplay with accuracy involved, as well as just generally navigating around environments. Now, this will only be covering combat encounters. Of course, The Last of Us 2 is a bigger game than that, featuring sort of semi-open world sections and all other kinds of interesting things that I may cover in future videos if there is enough interest. Now, again, we're going to be playing a combat encounter here. This is a very early one in the game, and it only features infected, so no human encounter here. But there will be a couple of clickers, some runners, and maybe a stalker as well, possibly. But, as you will see, the accessibility features in this game, including the text-to-speech system, the audio cues that were added, as well as the sort of systems for navigation and traversal that allow me to move around the environment, knowing where I'm actually going without needing to use the camera or any visuals of any kind, are absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to unmute my capture card, and then we will get started. So we are here after I've just completed this encounter. Before recording this, we are here in the menu that you see at the end of that.
Next.
So I have next.
Replay.
And I have replay.
Exit.
And I have exit.
Replay.
So we are going to replay,
Next
and
button.
that voice,
Select.
the voice that you can hear there is the TTS built into the game. The good thing is that TTS is available from the very start if you know how to activate it, which is essentially just by pressing the down arrow on the D-pad. And then from there, you can set everything up as part of the startup, the startup screens, as it were.
Next. Replay.
So let's hit replay and dive right into this encounter. And that first noise you hear is basically illustrating that there are infected around, specifically runners, as far as I'm aware. So the first thing we're going to do is check our status. The good thing is we are playing this on very light, so the enemies are pretty... they don't necessarily see us. They're not exactly bright, as it were. So we're going to swipe up on the touchpad.
You are crouched behind low cover. Health 100. Semi-auto pistol. Equipped 6. Ammo loaded 3. Reserve.
So we know a few key things from that little explanation, which you can get at any time, as I said, by swiping up on the touchpad. You can get how much ammo you have, whether you're crouched or standing, whether you are behind cover, and sometimes what kind of cover you are in as well. And also you get, what weapon you have, how much ammo it's got, and how much ammo you have in reserve as well. So the first thing we want to do is scan for an enemy. Now we're going to use enhanced listen mode and press R1 and hold it, and I'm going to press square to scan for enemies, and we're going to press L3, which then turns me around and allows me to walk forward to a waypoint. Now the waypoint, which is that little cue there, allows me to then rescan. It's kind of a prompt to rescan and move forward and do the same thing again. And that cue is a cue for me to press triangle, and that cue is a cue for me to press square. I've learnt those from the audio cue glossary, which the developers very usefully implemented into the game's option menu. There was also a cue in the background there for me getting a kill, and a cue for a further triangle prompt, which would have allowed me to pick up an item, which the game automatically does for me, thanks to the fact that I have auto pickup on as well. So we're going to continue in the same fashion. We're going to crouch and walk forward. There's a waypoint. So what do? We rescan with R1 held, pressing square. That's a clicker. That's very, very scarily close. That one's seen us, so this could go sideways unless I move forward like I did just then and press triangle when the prompt came up. They're not always in front of you, the enemies, when they see you.
3/4.
I was just fortunate that in this case that happened, so we're going to keep going on. We're going to try and take all these enemies out without alerting anybody. Full stealth. Please don't see me, please don't see me, come on. There we go. It's going to hopefully turn me towards the one I want. There we go. We were very fortunate there. We were very fortunate indeed. The only reason I thought to rescan was because I couldn't move forward any further. So I rescanned to then find the enemy that was likely to be closest to me and stealth takedown was needed to get rid of it. So there's a clicker here. I really, really like that about this game, where you think they've alerted other enemies, possibly, and then they haven't. There we go, so let's move forward to take down one of the final enemies. Bumping into geometry there, into physics objects as such. Let's keep moving forward. I don't know if I wanted to do that. That was a cue for the traversal system. Let's rescan. There we go. I'll cover the traversal system in a separate video. Oh no! So the clicker has just decided to attack me. There's a cue for dodging. Oh, and the AI has taken over.
And he's still moving? Nope.
You completed the
Well, that
encounter.
went well, other
You can
than
either continue to
after
the next
the
encounter, replay
sort
the
of
same
interesting
encounter, or
alerts
exit the
there.
main menu. Next. X button. Select.
So as you can hear, the TTS kicks in to tell me I've completed the encounter. Now let's see if we can do that encounter in a prone state. So show that off a little as well. So we are now back in the encounter, and that noise you just heard was me holding circle to go into the prone state. If I swipe up on the touchpad,
You are prone. Health. 100.
so it says I'm prone, it says I've got the same amount of health, etc, etc. Now the prone state is really useful, and the reason there's a humming noise is because it means I am invisible to most things. Not to everything, but to most things. So the good thing with this prone state means that I can crawl up to enemies and they will not see me. Well, these enemies at least. So let's do that. And we can get stealth takedowns from the prone state. Like so. There we go. And that's really useful because if you want to try and strategize and,
Alcohol.
you know, basically conserve ammunition, you can use that to more easily sneak up on enemies that might otherwise see you, especially on higher difficulties, though personally I haven't actually completed the game on anything too high as of yet. So that cue is an indication of a traversal mechanic. So we've just used that to try and navigate through. They haven't seen us. And yet we still managed to get the takedown, even though really I'd have thought everyone would have been alerted by that.
3/4. Rag.
So let's go prone. Let's try and see if we can get some enemies into a scenario where they're going to be in one place.
Brick.
Let's
Molotov.
throw
One.
a...
Brick. Health kit. One.
Have we got any
Molotov.
bottles? No,
One.
we haven't. So we're going to use the item scanning. Let's ignore that aim cue for a second. Let's use the item scanning feature, which works the same way as the enemy scanning does. So you press circle instead.
Health kit. One bottle.
So we've just picked up a bottle. So we use the up and down arrow
Bottle.
on the D-pad to select that. I'm going to try and throw this in between these two. We're going to try and... Can we...
Brick. Molotov. One.
throw that Molotov?
Bolt action rifle. 3.
Got a kill
3.
on one. Might have been a bad idea.
Fucking drop it!
It's almost looking like this was a bad idea.
Auto pistol. Pistol ammo.
There's a kill.
Loaded. 4. Reserve.
I'm using that dodge cue to my advantage.
1/2. Rag.
And there we go.
He's still moving. Nope.
You completed the
So
encounter.
again, we've completed the encounter, and I want to show one final thing as well, if I can. I'm going to cut to a later point in the encounter once there's one enemy left, and I'm going to try and show the cues for aiming, because I've not gone into that in that greater detail. So we've now got to a point in this where seemingly there's only 2 enemies left, as far as I can Yep, as far as I can tell. So we're going to try and take one of these out via the prone state that we are currently in. It's going to be this runner over here, I think, if we can. Or maybe not. Dropping back into prone and crawl forward. Hope this runner doesn't move. Which of course does.
Watch it!
Options.
Now, what's happened here? I'm going to turn my slow motion
Select difficulty.
on to try and show this. So there's now a clicker that knows where we are and an enemy to our left that knows where we are, which I think is a stalker.
Control difficulty.
So let's
Accessibility.
turn on
Ultimate combat accessibility.
slow motion
Slow motion.
under
Off.
combat
While aiming.
accessibility so that I can
Combat accessibility.
say what's happening as it happens. Oh no, wait, actually I need to turn it
combat
on
text to speech and
toggle.
audio. Combat accessibility. Slow weapons. Slow toggle.
There we go.
Turning combat accessibility. Options.
So let's turn it on with a swipe right. I'm going to aim. That's a cue for a headshot. I'm going to try and aim again. That's a cue for the centre of mass. And when I aim up or down, which I will hopefully... There we go. There's a cue for the legs, which I've just shot at. And I think that actually got a kill. And let's swipe again to turn slow motion back on.
And he's still moving. Nope.
You completed the encounter.
There we go.
You can either
If I'd have
continue
tried
the
to
next
have talked
encounter,
through that
replay the
as
same
it
encounter,
happened
or
in
exit
real
the
time,
main
it would have been
menu.
extremely
Next.
difficult.
X button.
But essentially,
Select.
when you hold down L2 to aim, or whatever button you have mapped to aiming, then you can actually hear a cue for the centre of mass, the legs, or the head, which you can then aim at, depending on whether you move your left stick up to aim for the head from the centre of mass or down from the centre of mass to aim for the legs. So that allows you to strategize how you want to, use your ammo as you go through, as well as using throwables and things like that as well, which you can sometimes aim for various parts of the enemy's body. Now, I hope all this information has been useful. I hope it's been an interesting video to watch. And if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions as to what you'd like to see next, then do feel free to let me know, and I will see what I can do about putting that together. In any case, I've been Sightlesskombat. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe.